Hey, it's Mike with Riding in the Ozarks, and today we're going to talk about the top speed on my 2024 Street Glide. I just got this bike a little over a month ago, and I'd seen some videos indicating that there was a new speed limiter on it. I don't know the history of the speed limiters. I think Harley Davidson doesn't publish that information officially in most cases. They did for the new CVO Road Glide ST. I think it was around 117 or something like that. They told us at Vegas, but I don't remember exactly. But they did tell us they don't typically publish that information. Now, I had the opportunity to run down to Mexico and do a top speed run. It's obvious I'm in Mexico because it's a deserted closed course road that's straight, and there's a Welcome to Mexico sign. And for the purpose of this video, that's my story, and I'm sticking to it in case anybody decides to complain to a law enforcement officer. I know it sounds silly, but there have been a few cases where, people have knocked on content creators' doors for doing something that they felt was illegal in a video. Nothing illegal happened here, and that's what I'm sticking to. Obviously, if you're going to do something like a top speed run, I do recommend that you take safety precautions. Have someone there in case you have an accident, call 911, get an ambulance on the scene right away, wear a helmet, wear Kevlar protected gear. I've been wearing my Beyond Riders for the last couple of years. It's Kevlar lined riding gear with armor in it. Also had on Kevlar lined pants, all those good things. Now, I had been told that the new 2024s were speed limited to 107 mile an hour. A friend of mine has a 2024 Road Glide, and he thought he had gotten closer to 111 on his, or 110, somewhere in that ballpark. Obviously, if you get up to 110 mile an hour, you need to be keeping your eyes on the road, where you're going, what's going on with the bike, and not staring down at the speedometer. That was one thing about this situation. I could focus on the road and go back and review the camera. I didn't have to watch the speedometer the whole time. I could just glance down when I got there and stay in it and see what happened. And well, let's just show you the video, because that's what you're here for. And then we're going to talk about speed limiters, what you can do about them, and a little bit of the history of them. Wasn't that some beautiful scenery in Mexico? Now, getting back to the topic, I hit 106, 107, 106, 107, bouncing back and forth, and I could tell that the bike was done. Not that it was out of power. I mean, it was accelerating to that point. I do feel like maybe when I got to 104, 105, it started slowing down the acceleration a little bit, hit 106, 107, and you just felt like suddenly you had this not like you hit a wall, but more like you had this invisible drag that suddenly the bike that's where it was at. It couldn't go any faster. It wasn't that it fell on its face and like it cut power off. It just didn't get whatever it needed to be able to go beyond that. And in a way, that's kind of cool that it doesn't just drop off and make you, lose control or lurch or anything like that. It just simply, I don't know if they reduce the fuel, what the things they do to make it do the speed limiting in the way that it does, but it's very effective and not as intrusive as I thought it might be. I can't say that I've ever hit the speed limit before. Now, I was told in 2017 when the Milwaukee Aids came out that Harley Davidson was, putting speed limiters on bikes. I did some research, and according to the internet, there was one on my 2016 Street Glide. So if some of you guys know more about that, if you know some of the history, when speed limiters started on, say, the Street Glides and what they were in the past, feel free to leave that in the comments down below. I don't claim to be an expert on this situation or this information, but on my 2016, I never hit it, but that's probably because I couldn't get to it before I got it dyno tuned and got a stage 1 on it. And when I got it dyno tuned, it was done with a tuner that allows you to change the rev limiter, the speed limiter, all those things. And I'm assuming my tuner changed that to some significant number higher than the factory one, if there was one at all. I can say on a closed course in Mexico, this bike has been between 115 and 120. I don't know that I've ever got it over 120 on the speedometer. That's another thing I learned from this research is when you get to the top end, the speedometer tends to be off a couple mile an hour. There's discussions about how that is calibrated and things like that, but I will say it seemed like tracking with Waze that this, when you get up around the 100 mile an hour mark, is off by a couple miles per hour. The Harley Davidson speedometer is reading higher than you're actually going, but only by like 2%. We're talking 102 versus 100. And that seems to be a common thread when I do my research on these ECUs and calibrations. So I did some of that yesterday. And it sounds like some of the 2024s have had different calibrations done, have come out with different top speeds. It may vary from 107 to 112 or 14. I have a friend who had a late model M8 Street Glide before the new generation, and they swear their bike hit 114 and it was done. And that's a number I've heard in the past. And for everybody that says that's another reason to go buy Indian, as I understand, the Challenger is limited to 110. Can these things be bypassed or broken? Yes. Unlocked, whatever you want to call it. We'll talk about that in just a second. But I want to talk about, is it needed? Is it necessary? What does going fast mean to you? So I told a friend of mine about this the weekend right after we got back from Mexico, and he did not realize his 2017 Street Glide was speed limited. He's maybe hit 100 mile an hour when passing traffic on a highway, and it was necessary to hurry up and get around them. But in 6 or 7 years, he's never hitting that speed limiter. Now, where I ride, those speeds are not what we call fast. Someone recently asked me in Vegas if I ride fast, and I said, what do you mean by fast? I said, if you are asking if I will ride 100 mile an hour, I'm not afraid to hit triple digits. But what riding fast means in the Ozarks is taking a curve that's marked at 15 mile an hour at 45 mile an hour, taking a curve that's marked at 30 mile an hour at 70 mile an hour. That's what I call riding fast here. It's not top speed. I've never really been into top speed. I've never owned a sport bike. Probably a good thing, or I probably wouldn't have lived this long. But I like to get down in the corners. I like to find the edge by dragging the floorboards a little bit in a turn. I don't care about running 107 mile an hour normally. Now, there might be situations where I would want to pass a line of trucks and, we have a limited space to do that in, and I might want to hit 100 mile an hour to get around 2 or 3 semis and get back in if I'm on a 2-lane road. I won't say it will never happen, but it's not a normal day-to-day thing, part of my riding. So how fast do you guys ride? Do you think a speed limiter that's over 100 miles an hour is a big deal? And then I guess the question is, people start doing stage 2 and stage 4 upgrades and stuff. And with the old bikes, like my 2016, I think it was easier to remove that speed limiter. Now there are some new solutions. They require replacing the ECU, as I understand it, not just reprogramming it. You have to replace it with an aftermarket. I'm interested in some of those things just because I want to have that knowledge of how this works. But to be honest, you already saw this bike can get to the speed limit pretty quick, the speed limiter. It can get past the speed limit very quick. So does it make sense to these stage 3 and stage 4, stage 5 builds for these new generations? Does that make sense? Or is simply a stage 1 or stage 2 going to get you all the acceleration you want till you hit that speed limiter? And does that make more sense? Now, I can tell you, I bought this bike with an extended warranty. It's the first time I've ever bought the extended warranty. I always felt they were kind of more expensive than what they needed, and I was probably going to do upgrades and things that might void the warranty anyway, so why bother? I knew that with this 2016. I decided with this bike, I wanted the extended warranty for as long as I'm going to keep the bike, which I anticipate to be 3 to 4 years, and then I'm probably going to trade it in because I'm probably going to be at 40 or 50,000 miles again. If I keep the bike too long, like I did with this one with 75,000 miles on it, nobody wants to buy it. They're scared. Now, I'm not scared to get on this bike and ride it out of state anytime. I haven't sold it yet. It's still for sale. I'm probably going to take off my custom wheels and some of my other upgrades and sell those things individually, and then I'll sell this dirt cheap to get rid of it, or I'll just keep it and Firecracker can learn to ride a Street Glide if she wants, but I'm not going to give it away. I am fortunate enough with the channel that I have a little extra income coming in from YouTube that I didn't have to sell it. Do I need to sell it? Yes. Do I have to sell it? No. like a lot of things in life. If you guys keep watching the videos, that'll help support the channel, and I can keep doing upgrades and things like that without having to worry about selling the bike to be able to afford parts for this one. Now, as I was talking about, a stage 2 a cam upgrade, probably as far as I will go on this bike, but you never know. We might do an ECU or something like that if the channel's doing well and it helps me afford to do things like that, and it's something you guys really want to see. If you guys want to see content like that and you want to know what happens if you replace the ECU and things like that, leave me a comment down below. I will at least consider it. I'm going to look into some of these solutions. I think there's, ThunderMax and PowerVision and some other solutions for replacing the ECU and getting past some of these things. I don't know that we'll do any of those, but maybe we'll do some research and talk about what some of those options are, at least in the interim, and maybe down the road we'll look at doing that once I've got a few miles on the bike and I see what I want to do with it, or how I feel about after I do a stage 2 upgrade, if I get that far. All right, guys, if you have history with speed limiters and you know more about this than I do, please leave a comment down below to educate me and other viewers. And as always, you guys stay safe, keep on riding, and we'll see you in the next one.